Alright guys, Jack Rips back here with another video. This is the absolute last time I'm recording this video. I hope it comes out well. The last time I started bashing the movie way too hard, and I don't want to do that. So with that being said, this is Jack Rips for Horoscope 101. This week is Nightmare on Elm Street week. I will be reviewing Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Came out in 1985. I will just give you a couple of basic facts about the movie. It was directed by Jack Schroeder, which you may know him from Wishmaster Part 2 or Alone in the Dark. He's a pretty decent director. He's had a couple, kind of, low budget B-movie hits that I think are pretty classic for the B-movies. All around, he's a decent director. He's, wrote a few screenplays and, so on and so forth. You have Mark Patton, which plays Jesse, the main male character in the movie. You also have Kim Myers, who plays Lisa in the movie. The movie, Freddy's Revenge, is a very strange sequel to the original. It is nothing like the original. It doesn't have any reoccurring roles from the original. But that's okay. With that being said, you do have... how do you pronounce his name? Is it Glue, whatever his name is. You do have him playing the dad of Jesse. I can never remember how to pronounce that guy's name. The movie runs for, I think it's like 85 or 87 minutes, and Freddy's actually only on screen for like 12 and a half or 13 of those minutes, which is fucking ridiculous if you ask me, because you watch a Nightmare on Elm Street movie to see Freddy Krueger. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I didn't think so. You watch it for Freddy, and you only get 13 minutes of him. Now, if I was alive back in 85 and went and saw this in theaters and only saw 13 minutes of Freddy, I would have been one pissed customer. But with that being said, the movie does have a few positives, but a lot of negatives, and I'm going to focus on the negatives when only, and only mention a few positives, because I do think the negatives in this movie outweigh all the positives. Okay, so we're all familiar with Charles Bernstein. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, Bernstein. He, was the composer of the original movie, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He composed the original theme, which is a very classic, eerie-sounding theme. It adds so much to the dream world. It adds so much to the original movie. And what do these people do in Freddy's Revenge? They decide to not only not use a fraction of the original theme, they don't use it at all. None of it. Zero, zip, none. They don't use any of it. None at all. None of the original theme is in this movie. None. Freddy also doesn't kill any females in the movie, which is very fucking strange, considering that he was burnt to death for mainly killing all children. Don't get me wrong, he killed all children, but he mainly liked the females, the little girls. That's his whole MO. That's Freddy's thing. He likes little girls. But of course, and he has a very, a very big issue with females, especially females that piss him off. But instead of killing any of them in the movie, he doesn't kill any of them. Actually, he kills very fucking few people in this movie, and most of it happens in one scene that is beyond fucking ridiculous at a pool. But I won't go into that. With that being said, I will give you one positive. It's the last movie that actually focuses and actually takes place in the house of Freddy Krueger, 1428 Elm Street. The house, the original house, inside and outside the dream world. A majority of the movie takes place at the original home of Fred Krueger, which is a bonus. I love that about the movie. I love the house, a very eerie house. You have the bars on the windows from the original, which I thought was great. They kept that in there. The original look of the house was awesome. Finding Nancy's diary from the original was even better. I thought that was great. Now moving on to something that I really disliked about the movie was that it was made against Wes Craven's wishes. Although I do appreciate some of the sequels, Part 3, Part 5, Part 7. I do like Part 5, Dream Child. I think it's a very creepy movie, and the Dan killing, when Dan gets killed in the movie on the motorcycle, to me that saves the entire movie. Plus you get the scenes inside the asylum and all that with Freddy Krueger and Fred's mom, and it's just a very weird movie, and I enjoy it. But with that being said, Part 2 just... you know, I could have lived without it a whole lot. And for me, if I make a movie and I sell the rights to the movie to the producers because I need the money to make the movie and get my art or my stuff seen or out there, I got to get financing. You have to do what you have to do. You have to compromise, especially in Hollywood. We all know that. But with that being said, me, if I was in the producer role, I think I would respect the art too much, and I wouldn't make as much money as I could, because if a director was like, hey, look, this is my baby, I know it, so I sold it to you guys, but I don't want any part in a sequel, I don't want there to be any sequels, I wouldn't make a sequel. But what does Bob Shea do of New Line? He goes and says, hey, Wes, you can either be on the team or off the team. What is it? And Wes is like, hey, look, you know, I compromised on the original movie. I changed the whole last scene of the movie and left an open ending because you refused to put the movie out there if I did not do that. So, of course, I had to get the movie out there, so I changed that one scene, knowing that you was probably going to make a sequel and cash in if the movie was successful. And, of course, the original was successful, especially considering the budget was ultra low and the grossings was outrageous. Of course, Robert Shea says, all right, if you don't want to be a part of it, we're moving along without you. And they do, and it's an epic fail. The movie doesn't fail on all cylinders, but on, like, if it was a 6-cylinder, it fails on 5 of them. Like I said before, Mark Patton as Jesse does a good job. Kim Myers as Lisa does a great job. The dude from Weird Science who plays Grady does a great job. Grady's a very likable character. But with that being said, there's a lot of sexual tones throughout the movie that is not only fucking weird, they have no place in a movie like Nightmare on Elm Street. I can understand sexual tension between Freddy and his victims. That's very understandable. But there's a lot of sexual tension between Mr. Jesse and Grady, which is fucking weird, considering that they're supposed to be best friends. And it seems like Jesse has more interest in boinking and sleeping with Grady than he does the hot-ass Ken Myers, who plays Lisa. Lisa is a very hot high schooler and a very sexy woman. But of course, Jesse spends more time hanging out with Grady and sleeping in Grady's room than he does Lisa. And then the only time you have hope for Jesse, saying, Jesse, 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 please hook up with her. We want to see some action. What does he do? And by the way, guys, there's no snot in my hands. It's like I'm raw as fuck around here from blowing my nose so much at work. And it's like if I don't touch it like this or something, then it's just going to irritate me. And it's just like, oh, God, it's horrible. It's horrible. But anyways, on to what I was saying. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of sexual tones in the movie that's just fucking bizarre. And I don't care for them at all. I'm not homophobic by any means. Actually, I'm far from that. I'm a very open-minded and free-minded person. But when you're making a sequel to a movie, and it's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and the original is such a classic movie, and you knew after watching the original that it was a classic movie, that it would forever be known in the horror community, in the horror world, that it was just such a classic movie, you take the opportunity to make a sequel and have free reign with it, do whatever you want, and you want to underline it with all these deeper meanings and all these sexual tones, which make no sense. To me, the door was wide open, and they left it, still wide open, because they did not succeed in this movie. Of course, it made twice the amount of money the original made, but it was riding the coattails of the original. There's a lot of the actors throughout the movie that have came out later on and said, including Robert Englund, Mark Patton, Jack Schroeder, the director, said there's a lot of things in the movie that they did not like, they did not want to do, but they had to because of higher-ups. We all know how that goes. If your boss tells you got to do something, if you want your job, you want your paycheck, you're going to shut the fuck up and do it. And that's exactly what they did. Robert Englund even went farther to say that he actually stood up a few times and was like, hey, look, this is horrible, Freddy wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that, and they were basically like, hey, look, shut the fuck up, we're signing your check, you're here to do a job, you do it. So, needing the work, needing the money, he shut up, he did what he had to do. He has came out and said later on that this is his least favorite of the series, and it is the farthest thing from the original that he could think of. Which I agree with 100%. It is a very awful sequel, very awful movie. It's not the worst movie in the world, but it's a very awful sequel, and I definitely could have lived without seeing it. I have not watched it on Blu-ray, but if you have the chance, I'm suggesting you do check it out. It's an okay movie as far as it's not going to bore you to death, but it's a very fucking bizarre movie. and just filled with a lot of stupid shit that the Freddy from the original would have never done. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, take it like a grain of salt because it's not worth shit, but if you trust my opinion at all, then take it as it is, because the original is a far superior film and many of the sequels are a lot better. Now, I will tell you, if you want to laugh your ass off, check out Never Sleep Again, the documentary, because when they cover Freddy's Revenge, it is absolutely hilarious. The stuff that the people who had the creative control and a lot to do with the making of the movie, the stuff they have to say about the movie is just downright fucking hilarious. So definitely take out the time to watch that. And I'm sorry if I'm cussing a little much, but this movie just really gets the blood going, and I don't feel good as it is, and I cannot believe the guys from Horoscope made me sit through this crap once again. This is one movie I could definitely do without seeing ever again. It's my least favorite of the series by far. I think it's just a waste of time, but definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it. Be your own judge. It's like I said, it's not the worst movie. It does have some redeeming qualities. There are a couple of scenes that are pretty awesome. There's a scene when Freddy's coming out of some skin and stuff's falling off of him, and it's just fucking awesome. But then you turn around and Freddy's at a swimming pool chasing little kids around, and you're just like, fuck, the rest of the movie is horrible. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to end the video there. I think I ranted enough about this movie. I definitely do not recommend the movie, but I do recommend the movie if you've never seen it, because you do have to make the decision for yourself. But going into it, if you're not a fan of the series, if you've never seen Part 2, but you've seen other sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street and you're not a fan of those, don't waste your time with Part 2. You can live without it. It's not something that has to be seen. But you do have to see it to believe it, because it is a very fucking bizarre movie, very weird movie. But anyways, this is Jack Rips. Peace, guys.